The Trudeau government was just 4 months old when SNC-Lavalin came knocking. Bribery and corruption charges from its work in Libya threatened the company's very existence.
We've lost out on a number of contracts, probably in excess of $5 billion.
So in February 2016, the company met with François-Philippe Champagne, a Quebec MP who at the time was parliamentary secretary to the finance minister. It's the first recorded meeting to lobby for changes to Canadian law. From there, SNC-Lavalin lobbied up the Ottawa power chain, meeting with top staff for key ministers or the ministers themselves. By 2017, the effort widened. More departments, more ministers, even Canada's ambassador to the U.S.
Going to the PMO to seek political support to allow for a special side deal.
The goal was to change the criminal code, to allow for a deferred prosecution agreement, under which a company like SNC-Lavalin would pay fines, but escape criminal conviction and a 10-year ban from federal contracts.
We have a good reputation for delivering on the promises that we've made.
It's because they like our honest and open approach.
Monsieur le Président.
SNC-Lavalin got its wish. Last year, the finance minister tabled a budget that changed Canadian law.
Why does the finance minister think it's appropriate to amend the criminal code through a budget bill?
We believe the approach to deferred prosecution agreements will enable us to pursue an approach that is functioning in other economies.
But changing the law was step one for SNC. Step two was getting a deferred prosecution agreement. And that's where Jody Wilson-Raybould comes in. In all of its lobbying on justice issues, SNC-Lavalin never once spoke to the Justice Minister. But the Prime Minister did. On September 17th, as Parliament resumed and the company lobbied prosecutors for a deal, Trudeau says he reassured his Attorney General.
I told her directly that any decisions on matters involving the Director of Public Prosecutions were hers alone.
But the lobbying continued. The next day, SNC-Lavalin met with the clerk of the Privy Council and the finance minister to once again discuss justice issues. None of it seems to have paid off. In October, prosecutors told SNC-Lavalin there would be no deal. The criminal charges were going to court. Things started to move fast. The very next day, the company met with an official in Trudeau's office. A week later, the company announced it would challenge the prosecutor's decision. The Globe and Mail reports this is when Wilson-Raybould was pressured to intervene, an allegation the Prime Minister denies. In December, SNC-Lavalin issued a statement saying its Quebec operations were in doubt. In January, Wilson-Raybould was shuffled out of the justice portfolio. This week, she quit cabinet entirely. Which brings us to now. It remains an unfinished story with many blank spaces, and just one person who can help fill them in. David Cochran, CBC News, Ottawa.